All right, YouTube, good morning. Hope everybody is doing well. We are going to do a little whiteboard training this morning. First off, if you guys are new here, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, or don't, that's fine too. It's actually bright and early in the morning. It's about 5 a.m. I woke up, can't sleep. This topic's been on my mind for quite a while. Let me erase our team meeting notes here. What we're gonna do today is talk about pricing lawns and the formula that we use to actually price our work here at Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Now, today's video is gonna actually be one of 3 videos in a series, so make sure you guys watch today, tomorrow, and the next day. Today, we're gonna talk about pricing lawns. Tomorrow, I wanna maybe zoom out a little bit and talk about who you're listening to on the internet, and I have a lot of things to get off my chest. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't miss tomorrow's video, it'll be juicy, okay? Friday, I'm actually going to share a webinar replay, just a Zoom that I did with an individual. His name was Jason, awesome guy. He said, hey, can I get 20 minutes? I want to talk snow. I'm putting all my snow contracts together. I just want to see how you're doing it. I said, yeah, sure. I literally got on Zoom, was able to hang out with his virtual assistant. We showed all of our numbers about how we're using LMN to price our upcoming snow work. And it's just an under the hood look at our account, our pricing, where we're at, so much all just straightforward, right? So if you guys want to check out not only today's video on lawn care pricing, tomorrow's video we're going to zoom out, talk about who you're listening to on the internet, and then Friday snow pricing. I invite you to check out the next 3 videos. It's going to be a really good couple of videos the next couple of days. What prompted today's video is, and I'll get right into some stuff down, but what prompted today's video is a lot of folks are out there looking for the magical formula on how to price lawns. Let's write some stuff down, okay? I'm going to throw some things out there that you have heard before. And unfortunately, how pretty much all this is just wrong and bad advice. I don't think it's malicious. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think anybody's trying to do anything other than help people. But if I was to put a scalpel in your hand and you didn't know what to do with it, right? Like you could really hurt somebody. But if I put a scalpel in somebody's hand that's trained with it, well, they can perform open heart surgery or brain surgery, right? And so it's not like the tools necessarily the issue. It's like the training around it. And unfortunately, we all have these really nice scalpels, lawn and landscaping businesses, and a lot of us are just out there flicking it like Kill Bill, okay? And unfortunately, nobody's really been trained on how to use this samurai sword or this scalpel. Our businesses, to actually price and let alone have that pricing, have a sales strategy to go with it, getting the work done, invoicing, having great people, and then of course having profit. Profit creates a lifestyle for your family. Now, a lot of this I've learned pretty much on the hard school of knocks the last couple of years, really last 12 months, really the last 3 to 6 months. My intelligence, my growth curve, my learning prowess, all this stuff just went through the roof as I've been getting around some really good folks in the industry. So before we jump into how we price, and by the way, when I talk about how we price, it'll take me 90 seconds to explain it. Okay, 90 seconds. If somebody has to do a video for 25 minutes talking about how they price, probably don't listen to that person. They don't know what they're talking about. If somebody tells you, you got to buy this course or contract or resource to learn how to price, probably don't listen to that person, okay? And I have a lot of courses, a lot of programs that are available, resources, documents, but I'll just tell you straight up, if somebody can't tell you how to price in 90 seconds, don't listen to that person. If you have to spend $1,000 in 6 weeks in an intensive 8-week series and deep dive to learn how to know your numbers, it shouldn't be that complicated. You can learn more, you can spend more time in the business, educating yourself about being a business owner. I'm all about that life. But if somebody can't tell you how to price in this industry in 90 seconds or less, they probably don't know what they're talking about. And here's the deal. I spent a lot of time doing research on this topic, noticing such a blind spot out there. And so let's go through it really quick. I've got a lot of things to say. Just quick notes. I'm not here to ruffle anybody's feathers, step on anybody's toes. I'll just tell you straight up. I'm just really tired of the blind leading the blind out there. All right. So things that you've heard before, right? Let's throw it out there. How do we price? You guys, we'll play a game together, right? Do you want to play a game? Right? One of those deals. Let's do this. How about 1 cent per square foot? You guys ever heard this one? Let me write this maybe a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can actually see on the screen. But let's go through this together. Please watch all the way through. This video will be worth it. 1 cent per square foot for mowing. Okay, sure. I'm gonna break all these down individually here. All right, so $1 penny per square foot. 4,000 square foot lawn should be $40 for a weekly cut. Sounds good, right? Listen to that guy. Sounds great. Next one, let's do this. I saw this recently, like 2x man hour. Okay, interesting. I'd be at about $112 or something like that per cut. What if the cut only takes 15 minutes? What if I'm only making 15%? What if I'm making 30%? What if I'm making 10%? How do you, I don't know how you just come up with that. Another one, here, this is good. 4 times labor rate. All right, and if you've done any of these, by the way, don't worry about it. I'm not coming down on you. I'm just talking really quick. Dude, learn. We're all learning together. Relax, everybody relax. 4 times labor rate. So if I'm paying a guy $25 an hour, I times it by 4, it's $100 that I should be earning per hour per guy. Okay, I mean, that's an interesting theory. That person doesn't know my overhead costs. They don't know my equipment costs. They don't know my overhead costs. They don't know my labor costs. They don't know my desired profit margin. So it's just kind of a loose number, right? 4 times labor. How about this? This is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Landscaping, right? 2x your material costs. 2x your material cost. Or 2.5x if you warranty. You guys ever heard this stuff before? I was actually hanging with somebody at our spring open house at Weingart's, or Steak Fry. Talking to a young guy who was awesome. Great kid out there. And he said, well, how are you pricing your landscape work? I said, well, we've got formulas and all this stuff, and we use LMN now. He goes, yeah, I've heard you use LMN. Oh, awesome. He goes, I don't use LMN. I go, awesome. He goes, no, I just take all my material costs and 2x it. I go, sweet. And then, he's like, no, but if I warranty it, it's 2.5x. Okay, awesome, man, good for you. Let's just relax. If you can only watch one video a year for 20 minutes and not get distracted by a 7-second TikTok or a 7-second reel, you want to build a real business today's video. You want to build a real business. Dude, just relax for 20 minutes. Tell the wife 1 second. Tell the kids, hold on. Okay, let's just get into this and we'll be done with it. Another one, mulch costs, right? Or salt costs, right? Salt. You just take your salt cost and you times it by 2. Mulch. Right? $125 a yard. Or pick your number locally, right? $125 a yard installed. I have friends every spring, they say, hey, what are you getting for a yard of mulch? What are you getting? What are you getting? What are you getting? For everything. And I said the same thing up until a year and a half ago. What are you getting for your salt? What are you getting for your mulch? Well, what I'm getting and what you're getting are wildly different. And I'm going to explain some things here over the next 20, 30 minutes. I know this is going to be a half-hour video, okay? The pricing portion will be 90 seconds. Mulch, $125 a yard install, right? We can do this game all day. How about this? Another one, pruning, guys. I don't do a lot of pruning these days. I sub all that out. I've got a great sub. $10 a shrub, or whatever, right? Pick your number, all right? This is probably terrible. Paver guys, landscape paver guys, I don't even know. I don't do any hardscaping. I got roasted over the weekend because I didn't do my own front hardscaping. I wrote a check. It was done in 2 weeks. While I kept 10 grand a week production going in on my business. But I'm a mow guy, so I don't do hardscaping. But I got roasted, even though we all say, stay lean, sub out, buy back your time, specialize, you know what I mean? But go ahead, I'm sure that guy's got it all figured out. Let's say pavers, I don't even do pavers. Guys, help me out. What do you guys get per square foot? What do you guys quote? Oh, you got a 400 square foot patio in the back. We're at $50 a square foot. I don't even know. That's gonna be $20,000. Okay, like that's $50 per linear, no, I guess it would be square foot, right? Let's erase this really quick. And I'm not trying to be a butthead on today's video, obviously. I'm just talking practically speaking. If you have said or done any of these things, we have all said and done these things. Let me put it like this really quick. Brian's Law Maintenance YouTube channel. I don't even know how many videos there are, to be honest with you. 1,100, 1,200 videos by now. If you find me saying, like teaching to do any of this, I'll give you $1,000. I have said, broadly speaking, hey, maybe this is what we're doing for salt. Hey, here's maybe where we're at for mulch. But in 1,000 plus YouTube videos, I have actually never done an intensive deep dive video on pricing until today because I was so weak in it. Admittedly, I was so weak in pricing And really pricing, if you zoom out, it was the back end of the business. It was the financial side of the business. It was the QuickBooks, the bookkeepers, the CPA, the actually pricing my work, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of you guys know my story. Like, this isn't like made up. This is very well documented. If you're just watching, this is your first, second, 10th video of Brian's on Maintenance, you're gonna go, man, like this guy's been doing this for a long time, doesn't have this all figured out. Well, actually, no. Not until about like the last 6 to 12 months. And really even some of this has stemmed in the last 90 days. Before that, I met my friend Mike Bedell, and he's an integral part, he's an integral character, he's an integral part of my journey and my story. That's why I still talk about him, still love him, and Bedell and I are still great friends. We still make tons of money together. Shout out to Bedell. Bedell came around in 2017, 2018 and said, hey dude, like, how are you running this thing? And I go, I don't know, dude, just 2x this, 1x this, 4x that, 3x this. And he goes, yeah, but like, how do you know that those are accurate numbers? I go, I don't know. He goes, well, how was your QuickBooks account? I don't know. How's your bookkeeper? What's your bookkeeper say? I don't know. What'd you run for profit last year? I don't know. What's your projections for this year? I don't know. How's that for running a business? Now that works 0 to 100K, maybe even 0 to 300K. Okay, we're gonna talk tomorrow about 1s and 3s and how you can evolve as a leader and what changes, the priority changes, the systems changes. You can't take thought process from this business into this business, this and this thought process into this business. You'll torpedo, you'll implode. I'm gonna talk about more about that tomorrow. But this is what the whole, dude, 99.9% of the industry does. It's not an indictment. Nobody's bad, nobody's wrong, nobody's evil. It's just a reality. Okay, it's just a reality. Do you think Yellowstone runs their business this way? No. Well, they're just big, they got lucky, they buy good businesses, and they've always just made perfect acquisitions to $700 million. Okay, I mean, ambitious thinking, they're always perfectly right. They're like that one hero character that Will Smith plays, right? Shoots in the same bullet every time, right? They're perfect. Or no, they don't go by this, they go by actual numbers, real reporting, and they know what they're looking for in a business. Probably more the case, right? Let's do this really quick. Here is what everybody does. Let's break down some reasons why all this doesn't work. Inside a price, let's go to the top, right? And hopefully you guys can see this, but inside a price, you're gonna have, very simply, I'm gonna throw this out there and you can circle back on this. Circle back. Your price, when you're giving a mow price, let's talk about mowing. If you guys want more videos in the future about how we can do our subcontracting pricing or our pruning pricing for subcontracting, Friday's video is going to be all about snow and salt pricing and lot staking pricing. I'm going to show you exactly what we're charging, exactly how we're pricing it. And again, you have to make it make sense for you. You have to couple that with a sales strategy, okay? But mowing, really simple, right? What's a mow rig look like or consist of? Number one, let's just do this. Field, labor, and then a crew truck. Now, a crew truck is loose, okay? Everybody's crew truck is different. That could be truck and trailer with all the mowers. Depends on how you break it down in your budget. Depends on how you bundle a template together in LMN. But the rig is going out and the labor is going out. There's 3 or 4 different components here. Let's keep it really simple. And I am going to plug a couple resources on Entrepreneur Academy. Forgive me. It's almost impossible not to when you understand where I'm trying to come and teach you guys how to fish. You have your field labor, you have your crew labor, right? We have cost. Let's just say I go by somebody saying you need to do 4x your labor rate. Well, 4x my labor rate on a site for an hour would be $100 of labor per hour. Okay, well, the problem with these two is that's my labor rate, but that's not the actual cost of my labor. All right, let's get some 202 going in here for a quick second. I'm gonna erase this. And maybe this has been explained to you guys. Maybe y'all know this. I didn't know all this. I didn't know all this until a year ago when I went to some LMN masterminds with Mark Bradley. Here he goes talking about Mark Bradley again. Well, where the hell was everybody else putting out this info, okay? My $25 of labor per hour, the problem with somebody saying, well, just take your 4x labor cost. By somebody saying that, like, it exposes exactly where they're at in business, what they know in business, what they're doing with their business. If you know, you know, right? It's an interesting kind of a dynamic when you get to the next season, the next size business. It's not an ego thing, it's just somebody actually knows what they're talking about thing. $25 an hour, that's not what it costs me to run my employees out there. I wish. What's not being calculated, right, is a percentage of labor burden. This is, oh, and I'm still learning all this too, right? This is your Social Security, your payroll taxes, everything that goes into the actual cost of having an employee. A $25 hour employee with your labor burden at about 20% on average, it can be 15%, it can be 22%, it just really depends on where you're at. But $25 an hour, okay? Plus 20%, so let's just say 20%. So your labor burden of a $25 an hour guy is really like, again, $30 an hour, right? You're like, man, my actual employee cost is $30 an hour. Okay, now I can 4x that number, or 2x my number, or pi squared cosine tangent. Well, dude, no, like, again, not really. $30 an hour, but that's not factoring our unbillable time. Unbillable, windshield time, unbillable time. When you take a $30 an hour employee and you divide by 80%, you're gonna come up with, I believe the numbers were $34.50, and I've been thinking about this stuff for a week, so I have some of this memorized. So now we're at $34.50 an hour. Am I, somebody that put out a video recently saying, well, 4x your labor cost. Well, am I 4xing this number or am I 4xing this number? This $100 per man hour? I don't know. Maybe that's where I need to be. And man hour is different than revenue per hour, just to be super clear. But maybe I need to be at 4x this number. Well, I mean, that's at 36912, that's 1325.50, right? Like, how am I supposed to know what number I'm working off of? Now, if you're just getting started with all this, trust me, I understand you are like, dude, where are we going? I will put it all together with a little bow tie. I've spent a considerable amount of time trying to think this through and how to make sure that if you're just getting started in this industry, you can palate and understand, comprehend what I'm doing here. By the way, if you think you're so good at your numbers, challenge for all you guys that are on the grow, you're doing $500,000, million, $2 million. If you think you're so good at all this, I want to give you the whiteboard and I want to give you the blue marker. If you can't teach this to me, pen and paper and napkin math, then stop teaching things, stop guessing, right? Actually learn how to run your business. That was not me 18 months ago, okay? If you're hanging out with me and I'm hanging out with Mark Bradley and he has a stroke, unfortunately, I want to be able to pick this up and finish up where Mark left off. Hey, medic, Mark, I'll take the torch, or whoever's your guy, okay? So our labor is now $34.50 an hour. Let's go back to our field cost, field labor. This is the actual cost for labor burden and unbillable time. It's $34.50. Now, you're like, oh, well, we got our labor rate, right? We got our labor all taken care of. So it's $34.50 to run that employee, right? Like if I'm gonna line item this out. Let's do this really quick because I'm gonna hop around a little bit. Crew truck. We have let's keep it really simple, okay? And maybe you guys know this, maybe you guys don't. Maybe this wouldn't be 90 seconds. I'm trying to explain the thought process behind it, but once you understand this, you can napkin math this in 90 seconds. A truck. How do we get our truck numbers? If you don't have the Know Your Numbers calculator on Launchpreneur Academy, it's going to get your labor rate and your equipment costs. Or if you don't know LMN, you don't have a budget to get these numbers, or a synced up, or something with a robust budgeting software. By the way, there's two big popular CRMs, and I use and promoted one for a long time, and also another one that every influencer uses. Neither of them have a budget tool. Neither of them have a budget tool. So let's just assume everybody's out there doing napkin math behind the scenes, coupling with their CRM that they all promote to make sure that we have accurate numbers out there. Let's just assume everybody knows their numbers, okay? Maybe they don't, I don't know, but let's say they do. Let's say your truck here is 75K. Let's get our truck per hour. 75K minus its resale value of 30K. That leaves us with 40K, okay? 40K divided by the amount of hours it's gonna get used that year. Let's just say it's, I don't know, and I'm gonna be a little choppy on this math because I don't have my Element account. Divided by 2,000 hours, this is with our equipment costs, our insurance, licensing, repairs, fuel costs, daily fuel rate, all this mess that's gonna go into this number. It's a budgeted section in LMN. Let's just say, simple math, it's, again, super simple, just for example's sake. It's $20 an hour to run that truck. Do you know how much it costs to run a truck? Now, Stanley Dirtmonk used to do videos like this way back in the day. He's like, hey, do you know how much it costs to run a set of tracks on a skid steer? Some of you guys remember that video. He's like, it's, $1.67 per hour running that skid steer just for the tracks, which are $1,200. Back when Stan made videos about growing a business. Anyway, let's go back to crew truck. You're like, okay, man, it's $20 an hour to run my crew truck. Oh, wait, so here's my cost, right? I'm gonna tally these two up and that's where I'm at. No, brother, listen. This is just the cost. This is what actually costs for your field labor and your truck to go on out there and do the job. That is covering the cost of the labor and the guys, or the labor in the truck. That has nothing to do, and here's my issue with those other areas. Let me erase this so we're not distracted. My issue with all these other suggestions out there, the penny per foot, double this, times 2, cosine tangent, pi squared. We're not talking about overhead recovery. Every single pricing video that I've seen out there, and man, I went about 25 videos deep on YouTube to watch pricing videos. Not a single one is accurate. Not a single one. One guy actually got really, really close. But unfortunately, he's quote unquote a no-name, YouTube channel, and he had like 200 subs and his video got buried in like the 23rd out of the 25th video. Good video, by the way. But because he's a nobody, quote unquote YouTuber with 130 subs, that video got deranked, or it gets pushed down in the search query. So what comes to the top? People with big channels, big views, right? Doesn't mean that they're right. You guys know how that goes. But big channel, big views. First video wrong, second video wrong, third video wrong. I watched 2 hours of videos driving on these teenager tours there and back to Medina, Ohio. I've got 6 hours of road time. I listen and consume as much content as you guys have no idea. I'm crazy with this, okay? Even like the guys, I'm like, yeah, this is the numbers guy. Like this guy always makes videos about numbers. Surely he knows what he's doing, right? At least the videos that I watch, not so much. This other guy, and again, these are like peers, they're friends, no shade, nothing, dude, nothing. I'm sure I put out my own content that somebody could fact check me. I'm not here to fact check anybody. I'm just saying, instead of me fact checking everybody, let's just focus on us, let's just worry about us today, and let's work together, okay? None of these videos, nobody ever at least, has ever talked about overhead cost recovery. I don't know if I even knew what that word was a year ago. Some of you guys listen to the podcast. What's an EBITDA, right? Overhead cost recovery. Where in the world, in any of those earlier formulas, was anybody talking about covering the cost of the actual business? I'm not talking about the field labor and the crew. I'm talking about marketing, admin wages, admin salary, a shop, a barn, your marketing budget, your insurance budget. All those aren't directly billed to that job. They're covered in overhead costs. So to do so, how does somebody just say 2x this and 4x that? Dude, you don't know my overhead. My overhead's different than your overhead. It's so variable. Do you know what I'm saying? By the time we're done with this, you'll realize that there's a variable on labor, there's a variable on truck, there's a variable on overhead, and then we'll talk about the variable on profit. It's 4, 5, 6 different things deep that are all variables that it's like the butterfly effect. If I move 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here, wildly different end number. So you can't just say 2x this, 4x that. Are those like general rules of thumb? Perhaps. Maybe that's what those people were suggesting. All the people that make pricing videos. Maybe it's just general rule of thumb. Hey, try to get this. Okay, like not a bad thought, not a bad theory. Maybe it's a good starting point from businesses that are 0 to 100K, 100K to 300K. Like maybe that pocket, that's good sage advice. But if you take that advice, growing a business north of 3 to 4, 500 grand in revenue, going to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, I will just assure you're going to torpedo your business. And I'm going to continue to go on this, and I'm sorry if this video is a little lengthy, but I'm not sorry because it's going to be good stuff. Overhead cost. Last year, my company had $217,000 of overhead costs. That's salaries, of non-field labor. That's just, dude, everything running the business. It costs a lot to keep this thing moving, just like your business. We use a thing called multiple overhead recovery system. The fact that I even know that word would make so many of you proud and so many of you blush, and the other half of you probably facepalm. My account manager with LMN, Michael Poffler, that signed me up, I didn't know any of this stuff, dude. Nothing 15 months ago. My account manager today, Steven Bennett. A lot of you guys know Steven in our Link membership. Steven is like, dude, you have come from so far back on these numbers. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, right? For all of us. Multiple overhead recovery. What are we recovering? We're recovering this $200,000. How? With labor, with equipment, with our materials, and our subs. So every single labor hour that goes out, we're recovering this $200,000. Every equipment that runs trucks and trailers that goes out, we're charging an upcharge on that for the business to recover the overhead. All of our materials, I think we're at maybe 60, 20, maybe 10, 10, something like that. 61, 20, 10, 10, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, about 100%. 60, 20, 10. Anytime my subs go out and perform work, I add 10%. All of this is recovering that, but it has to get billed out here. Cost is what it takes to actually do the job. When we have our overhead number mixed in, the price, this is really quickly going to go to, and forgive me, I don't have all these just memorized, but let's just say it's $38.24. The $20 truck with my overhead is now, let's say it's $23.10 because the number is different, right? We recover a lot of our cost on labor. Now you can exclusively cover your cost by labor, exclusively cover it by equipment, maybe exclusively cover it by materials. Depends on your business, depends on your model. Landscape companies, you might have an entirely different way because you have more material, right? So you might have a different perspective than I do, or different percentages than I do. How does somebody know who says 2x this, 4x that, 1 this, 1 cent that? How do you know what my costs are? How do you know how I'm recovering this number? How do you know how this gets baked into here? By just proposing, stick your finger to the wind and see what works. It's guessing. In today's video, after today, you have the info, no more guessing. Is this a pitch for the Know Your Numbers calculator? Probably. Is this a pitch for LMN? Yeah, probably. Somebody will say that comment too. Is it a pitch for you're a sellout, you just want people to buy your stuff on Entrepreneur Academy? Dude, for sure. Nailed it, brother. I'm doing a 30-minute video here at 5:45 in the morning because I wake up thinking nothing about myself, my wife, my kids, my guys, and then my customers. Yeah, dude, I'm literally trying to sell you a Entrepreneur Academy course for $100. Nailed it. Take that thought process through life and let me know how it pays for you. How it pays you. All right, so here's our overhead. So we're like, oh yeah, dude, follow everybody else's formulas. God bless you, get what you get. A real price for field labor, crew labor. This is for mowing. We have our costs, baseline costs. We have our overhead numbers. And then what do we have in here? We have profit. Okay, so this, we have made no money yet. Cost to do it with my company's overhead. Then we want profit. And I'm hoping this shows up. Forgive me for writing a little bit smaller. I feel like I write smaller the farther out on the whiteboard I get as I do more videos like this. Profit. Now here's an interesting conversation, which begs a whole nother conversation. You can't just say penny a minute, double this, 4x that, 2x this, pi squared, cosine tangent, because you don't know my sales strategy. You don't know what I'm trying to make with my company. Let's just say you're aiming for profit. Some folks would say you want to make 10% on all mowing. Okay, why? Nobody has an answer for the why, ever. Okay, no problem. Let's say you're going for your company budget. Mine is currently set at 16.9 on $1 million. Okay, that's what we came up with. That's my number. Why is that my number? Well, I'm not going to tell you why my number is my number. This is why my number is, though. This is what my number is, 16.9. Let's say you want to do 20% net. You're like, bro, I want to make $1 million, 20% net. Okay, awesome, dude. Like, honestly, I'm not going to get super lost in the weeds here with what you want to do. Frankly, this is just what we had left over. 16.9, I'm like, that's pretty healthy, 16, 18%. That's an industry average. I'll take that. But here's the deal. Even if I said all those numbers and we maybe got here, does that mean I have to do my work like that? Does that mean I have to price my work this way? No, here's why. Let me just hit fast forward, okay? It depends on my sales strategy. It depends on my business growth. It depends on my business trajectory. Like, where are we going? What are we trying to do? Because if I'm trying to get into a new market or snipe sites or get into sites that are adjacent to my sites or a market that is a new market, and we're trying to get in there, make a splash, or we just want to cut the legs out from our competitors, right or wrong, I can price all my work at 10% and come on down, and my number might be just a tad or below industry averages or what your numbers are at. You can't just say 2x, 4x, 3x, 5x, 1x, all that stuff, because you don't know what I'm trying to do with my sales strategy. It's too variable. You can't just make blanket statements on price. My company budget is set at 16.9. This is also with industry averages of 50% gross this on snow, 30% net this on snow. We have our landscape numbers, we have our mow numbers. I run industry averages with this. Now, we might even be high on profit because my overhead is lower. My overhead is lower. I was talking to a peer, he runs a 50% gross on snow. True net is like 15%, even he goes maybe 10% when you really factor in all of the waste. But 50 gross, 20 net, or 16.9% net might be a healthy number, a healthy ratio, healthy percentages for my company because I don't have all the bloated overhead. Does that mean I charge less? Maybe I could. Maybe I can come on in and cut people's legs out because I don't have all that overhead. Or imagine this, eventually my company is gonna look like his company. I'm gonna have the same overhead, so I wanna stay with industry averages because my company is no different than his company long-term once I grow to that size. As Troy Clogg said in a video, these little nuances people bake into these videos, and if you don't have ears to hear and eyes to see, I get it, I didn't either. But Troy says we all kind of do the same thing. Troy Clogg on his tour, so we all kind of do the same thing. We all sell talent and we all sell equipment. Is he wrong? So why would I try to fudge the numbers, cut people's legs out, drop my price, lowball, get in, all that stuff, not thinking that once my company gets to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, $20 million, that I won't have the same cost likely associated with a big business like they do. And again, I really want you guys to understand and be evangelists for this whole thought process. And you're gonna see this in every Facebook group and everything, everywhere you go. 1x, 2x, penny this, pi squared, my minimums, my this is my that. And I'm like, dude, that's so awesome that you know where you're at. They don't, but it's so awesome you know where you're at. By the end of this video, you need to know where you're at. You need to know where you're at. Let's go back here. And again, I'm probably not going to be able to exactly build out like a quote or a price or a template. I'm not that good. But let's say I'm running, I don't know, dude, 20%. Maybe it just happens to be where I'm at. 20% is going to get added to these numbers. And again, forgive me, I didn't do this. But let's just say, dude, let's just say it's $6. And let's just say it's, you know, $3. That's $9 on $60 worth of work. And now we're going to be able to go out and charge on a man-hour rate $69. Of course it is Fullerton. That's a subconscious mind working there. All my first all my first 150 videos that I did on YouTube, if you're a kid watching this, forgive me, but every first 150 to 200 videos, I work that number into every video. When I say I don't take this like too serious, I treat this serious. I treat running a business serious, but when I like to say, when I have fun doing all this with you guys, there's so many Easter eggs, there's so many things I put into the videos that, you know, I want to look back and say, yeah, I know where I was at in life. I was having fun. I was not having fun. I was having fun. I was not having fun. The first 200-300 videos, and other friends in the videos, like they were guests, they knew to say that number. It was always like, hey, it's like we watch Bluey now and there's like a little bird in every video with my kids. All right, take it or leave it. That's extra credit, okay? But you know, gotta have some fun while doing this thing, right? I'm a man child, just like all you guys probably watching, all right? So $69 per man hour, right? Let's just say that's where we're at. This is the cost to put my guys in my rig out there to go do a site. You're like, dude, Fullerton, we got it. We got it all done. Let me just continue to just blow your mind and just really pull the Band-Aid off even harder. You're like, dude, we're ready to go. We're crushing it, man. Like, okay, 2x my labor cost or 1x this. Okay, maybe even some of the numbers are accurate with some of like what the other folks were suggesting. Like they're at, 100 and we're at like, 94. And they're saying, hey, you should be at 36. And we're like, actually the math says 39. They're like, tomato, brother. Like these are just suggestions. Well, two things on that. One, it sounds good when you have small sites. It sounds good when you have small sites. You bid a 15-acre apartment complex and you're off $30 per man hour times 15 acres of mow time. You could be off $400 or whatever the number would be, or $45 per cut times 27 weeks times 30 weeks, for a regular season. You can quickly see how I could turn in a quote for 12 grand or whatever, and you could turn in a quote for 15.5 because you're just off a little bit on your man hour pricing. Number two, is it really this complicated? Yeah, it is. It's simple once you get it, but this is the part about running a real business. Now, you don't have to do really any of this math between 0 and 300 grand, and I'm gonna continue to get into it. You have small sites and versus large sites. You have prod rates, production rates. What's a production rate? Never heard that word before in my life. In fact, let me go here really quick. This circles back to LMN. Now get ready for this one. 15, 18 months ago, I signed up with LMN. One second, guys. Let me just make sure the camera's still going. 15, 18 months ago, I signed up with LMN, right? I'm like, man, LMN, know my numbers. No, Mark Bradley didn't say, hey, sell software for me. We're going to change the world. Nothing like that. I went to a mastermind. I loved Mark's mission. I caught it in a second. I was like, this is my guy. I'm going to couple my caboose to what this guy's doing for the foreseeable future. Let me just put it that way. And I'll go to war for this dude. A lot of you guys are finally coming around like the Leanscaper events, the Leanscaper community, all this stuff. And you're like, holy cow, this dude's like Elon Musk. I'm like, dude, I know. Where was this dude? When I was in the desert for 18 years. So I get LMN, right? A year and a half ago, I onboarded. It took a lot of time. It's not simple. It's not easy. It is a commitment. Don't just sign up if you think we're going to go from Yardbook Jobber to LMN and so it's a lateral. It's not. You're going to put 50 to 100 hours into learning LMN. Once you learn it, you learn it. You don't have to redo it. And you're accurate for the most part, right? Like forever. If you're at north of 300, 400, 500 grand in revenue, you should be using something with budget software. Let's go real quick. I get on with LMN a year ago and I didn't know any of my numbers. I throw everything in there. I'm like, dude, ding. Like, I know now my numbers, right? Obviously. Your boy here is like, dude, no more of being a guru. Like, I know my numbers. I never talked pricing before, but now, talk pricing. Let's go. Okay. So I have my numbers, right? I go into winter, I use industry averages, I use my numbers. I had the Know Your Numbers calculator for about 2 years. We made it available a year before, or I had it a year before I ever made it public available to you guys. So I'm like, dude, this thing is working. Well, got a pretty good season of snow under our belt. We were 2x up last year. We have a sales poster right here behind the TV. I'm like, dude, this thing is working. I am the master of pricing. Your boy has licked it. I am the guru of gurus. I got it all figured out, right? And then I go into spring, and bidding commercial sites that already have contractors is wildly different than a commercial site coming to you saying, hey, we need you, and you just throw them the whatever price. And whether it's accurate or not, they like you, they know you, they trust you, you're the little guy, you sell them because you're salesman of the world. And that's different than getting lucky on your first half dozen, maybe 10 commercial sites. When you go to actually get commercial sites, wildly different game, wildly different conversation. You don't get 5 conversations back and forth on a bid or a price. You don't get to tell them why you're different. Frankly, half of the time they don't care. You don't get to see, hey, where did we actually come in on that price? You get there's no closed loop of feedback. You get no data saying why you did or didn't get it. If you're lucky, 1 in 10 will give you, oh, well, you guys were high. High on what? Compared to what? Compared to who? Then I come out with the How to Bid Commercial Sites Made Simple program on Launchpreneur Academy. People go, you're trying to sell $1. And I go, dude, I did an hour dissertation about how the commercial game is actually played. It's absolutely wild. In fact, at a peer of mine, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna make this thing. He's like, why would you give that away if you're trying to grow in your local market? I go, well, people gotta know. He goes, maybe give that info away after you do 10 million. I go, flush that. I'm gonna give it away. Am I a hero? Am I saying? No, I just feel like, hey, if I put good out in the world, I'm gonna get it back. You sow, you reap. That's how it works. So I'm like salesman of the world, right? I got LMN. I checked the box. Did I know my numbers? Did I know how this all works? Absolutely not. But I have LMN. LMN's going to figure it out for me. LMN's just a crutch. LMN's just a tool. LMN's just a company. Great people, by the way. Like, love LMN. But here's the deal. In February, March, I lost my 2 biggest sites, totally unrelated to this conversation. They just got low bid. I was like, well, that sucks. Lost 60 grand of summer work. I'm like, no problem. We'll backfill, we'll backsell. I'm salesman of the world, right? Just like you guys. I go into it in February, March, I went 0 in 10 on new commercial bids. 0 in 10. I've never batted out. I've never struck out, ever, with this kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, I know my closing numbers, my closing ratios. I can sell ice to Eskimos just like a lot of you guys, okay? But I didn't know my numbers. I thought I knew my numbers. I had a lot of this figured out based on my help, the help from LMN, my account manager, a lot of peers, all that stuff. What I didn't know was production rates. I didn't know what my production rates were. I used the default ones in LMN. They were good, but were they exactly what my market was, what I needed, so on and so forth? Not exactly. I got killed because of my production rates. I overbid everything because I didn't know how fast we could mow, trim, blow, edge a site. And so the new How to Bid a Commercial Site together, you get the webinar replay, a takeoff measurement price on snow site, a takeoff measurement on a lawn site, and then you get 1 free bid with your boy. I literally use Attentive, shout out to those guys, Attentive to measure. I punch my numbers into LMN. I give you guide rails. You can go bid your first commercial site. You got 80 residentials, you get a new apartment complex. This would change my business. You don't know how to do it? 250 bucks. Not only can you fish, we'll teach you how to fish, we'll show you how to fish, I'll fish with you. And then you're off to the races with a bid. At least the guide rails about where to be. Fullerton, you're making $1. Well, if you get a $15,000 just lawn account or just snow account or a $30,000 apartment complex and you make 20% on that, which is $6,000, I'm pretty sure your $249 investment is a, 3,000% return or 300, I think it's a 3,000% return. Not here to sell you or convince you, but anything I do, you will always 10, 20, 100x off it, okay? It's now 6:30 in the morning. I'm still waking up. Prod rates. If you don't know your production rates, how can these numbers get manipulated? Let's just keep it really simple. Let's say I'm actually able to take, because of our efficiency, decimal with a percentage, right? Let's say I'm actually able to get 80% on this number, and it's really 0.8, well, let's see where we're at. Let's just say it's $56 a man hour, right? 80%. So I'm bringing my costs down. And before, you'd hear people say, oh, that's a good one. You'd hear people say, I need to run my company at 75 per hour, man hour, $82 man hour. If you're north of here, you're making money. If you're running revenue per hour of 150 off of this, you're killing it. Bro, what are you talking about? Like, you're like, literally, what are you talking about? If I can run 56 a man hour and make 16.9% profit, I'm going to eat your freaking lunch. I'm going to eat your lunch. You have no idea what you're talking about. You think that you're good because you've built a business this size and you are a big fish in a little pond. Go be a little fish in a big pond. You take bad thought process into the new phase of your business. That doesn't work. I know it doesn't because that was me in March. I went 0-10 taking little thought process into big boy club. I had my lunch eaten. Since then, we picked up a half a dozen new commercial sites, backfilled to $60,000. And not only that, it's going to turn into about $100,000 worth of snow work. Not too bad. Why? Because I spent time not only learning what the numbers actually meant, understanding my production rates, but also coupling that to an effective sales strategy, which coupled that to an effective customer profile, ideal customer profile for our messaging and our branding. We took that with our videos, our photos, and our website. We redid all this to speak to that. I was able to have this, we understood who this person is. Everything else came here. We have a buffet now of options, of pricing, and programs that we can now give that person so they feel like they're in the driver's seat when really when you give somebody a 2-option close, I don't really care which one you pick because I'm going to win. Do you understand when somebody just says 2x this, 4x that, penny this, penny that? Like, dude, it is a great recipe from 0 to 300 grand. You will torpedo your business taking that into a business that does 300, 500, $1 million plus. Ask me how I know. So again, a lot of theories out there, experience. I'm not here to debate your theory when I have my experience, okay? I'm not trying to be tough. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Dude, I'm just trying to be as transparent with you guys as I can. You don't need a PhD. You don't need an 8-week course. You don't need to spend $1,000. You don't need any, you probably do need the Know Your Numbers calculator or LMN, or at least figure out your man hour rate and your cost for your equipment rate. Anybody can do that with napkin math. If you struggle with this, email me. If you struggle with this, if you don't have $100 to buy the Know Your Numbers calc, if you can't afford it, I will give it to you. Literally, email me. Be honest. If you can't afford it for $100, I will give it to you. Go make $10,000, pay back later, okay? I don't even want to pay back. Just pay it forward, okay? If you don't know production rates, if you start bidding bigger sites, if you don't know your man hour rate, if you don't know your desired profit margin, maybe you guys are at 1.4 million, it's you and 8 guys, everybody just wants to be super fat, super bloated, make 20%. Dude, I'm with you, brother. You're like, we're not trying to grow, we're taking everything out of the company, I'm buying a boat this year, my guys want new cars. Dude, awesome. But you cannot run a 20% likely, big asterisk here, likely a 20% net and grow a very aggressive commercial division. It just doesn't work that way. Maybe residential, maybe a luxury living. Commercial, no, you cannot. And if you think you're just gonna walk in and be like, oh, I'm salesman of the world, nice trucks, nice polos, bro, you're good. It doesn't work that way. What you think works for residential, as I was a residential business, what works in commercial, wildly different. So I had to learn and train my brain on all this. Let's go to the top, 90 seconds or less. You have your field labor, you have your crew truck. The cost to actually run those people and that truck. Your overhead, what does it cost to recover the overhead of the business? Those numbers are going to now inflate. Then you have to tack on your profit. I did dollars here. Obviously, it's going to run as a percentage in most budgeting tools, but you hear what I'm trying to say. I would suggest running off of industry averages and what your company profit should be. Not my company, not that guy's company, what your company's profit should be. If you're happy doing 50 gross and 15 net, dude, send it. If you're like, hey, 50 gross, 10 net, we're gonna be the next big fish in town, get to 6 million in 3 years, and we're gonna take everybody's sites and undercut, and then we're gonna work on pricing for a 3-year pricing strategy to get everybody back to where they were at or where they need to be, that's fine. But you have a 3 to 5, 10-year freaking strategy there, right? You can't just say, and this is what people do, people just say, well, we're gonna do this. I'm like, why? Like, how are you ever gonna get the price back to where it needs to be? Or what? It just, nobody closes the loop. Do you know your production rates? Right now we have a challenge and link for everybody to post their 1 acre mow on a 60, 1 acre mow on a 72, 1 acre mow on a standard 72, 1 acre mow on a 60 standard, 100 linear feet of trim, 100 linear feet of trim, like on a difficult site. I want a straight line, and then I also want on a site where you're hopping around 100 feet combined. Same thing with edge and below. If you don't know, I have my numbers now. I borrowed some from industry friends, and then I also have my own numbers. So I'm dialing even that. Their market's very, very similar, but also, hey, that's their numbers. I want numbers. I want to fact check and proof all this. When you know your costs, you know your overhead, you know your profit, now you know your man hour rate. That'll be coupled to a revenue per hour. Most mowing is going to be about 100, 110, okay? Once you know this, you can bid effectively with pricing. Once you know your ideal customer, you can create a sales strategy, a pricing strategy, a sales strategy to go with that customer. Once you know how to talk to those customers with pricing that's effective, you can build a sales strategy, a marketing strategy, an advertising strategy that brings those folks in. You bring those folks in with great marketing, you have great pricing, you have a system to create great people, training, greenness, team meetings, everything we've been talking about, everything on my podcast every single day. You bring people up. Eventually you have finance people, bookkeepers, cycle CPA that keeps all the finances going. You got people that keep all the people going. People manage the systems keeps the business going. And you can start, this is where you hear people say, well, we grew $1 million per year every year for 6 years once we had this machine moving. Bro, I know it kind of sounds remedial, but you have to start with pricing. You have to start with finances. You have to start with profit. You have to start with a proof of concept. If you don't, you will torpedo something along the way. The wheels will fall off the bus, and that will grossly be exposed to you as you start approaching north of $500,000 in business and above. Ask me how I know. It's glaringly obvious. Things like this are not glaringly obvious at a $180,000 business. We're an owner-operator. You're like, yeah, dude, between my salary, if you even take one, and my profit, I made $80,000 on $180,000. Dude, like, that is not a good litmus for you to know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, most people putting out content have businesses between 0 and 300 grand. That's tomorrow's video, okay? So not bad, not wrong, not evil, not malicious, not anything other than you probably just don't know what you don't know, and it's a good case of the blind leading the blind. If you don't know your costs, if you don't know how long it takes you to run the truck, if you don't know how much overhead to divide that number into and to get this number, I'll help you. If you don't know your desired profit, I will try my best to help you. Hopefully all this is the roadmap. And if you don't know what your man hour rate then comes to, you're just guessing. Please don't be a just guessing type of business, all right? I'm doing my best to articulate this for you. I'm not a guru. I'm not John Maxwell. I'm not Sam Gamble. I don't public speak like this. The last thing I want to do is videos talking about numbers. But tell me, but trust me, here's where I say this. I knew none of this 60, 90, 120 days ago. We were still guessing. Even with LMN, which helped us. We got us, the Know Your Numbers calculator, I got 80 cents on the dollar. LMN, 90 cents on the dollar. 90 cents on the dollar, you can't put 90 cents in a pop machine can for $1 and get 9/10 of a can. It's all or nothing, right? So you have to be 100% locked in. We'll get you there. That's the roadmap. That's all I got today. All right. I love you guys. I'm doing my best to just get this content for you. Come back for video 2, talking about where people are at. It's going to be good. Number 3 is the LMN pricing video. That was a webinar. I'll probably have some bumpers on it introducing it, but it's a very straightforward video, especially if you have LMN. All right. So I love you. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll catch up with all you guys on the next one. Go get them.